Today we are going to learn how to paint the armor panels in moss green and black on my Chaos Knight Tyrant.
That the entirety of the cosmos is accessible through each and every individual's mind, connecting to the great mind, the great spirit.
Welcome back to the channel, collectors. So in today's video, I'll be sharing with you guys my technique of how I painted the Knight Tyrant in moss green and black on its armor panels. In this video, I'll be extensively using the overbrush method, so if you are not sure about what the overbrush method is, you should check out the video. Links will be in the description below. Okay, so if you are ready to paint up some camo green and black armor on the Chaos Knight Tyrant, let us begin. So these are the colors that you will be needing to paint the moss green armor as well as the black armor on this Knight Tyrant. Alright, this is my last and final Knight for now, and I'm really excited. So the model has already been primed in Krylon Camo Brown, and I'm going on with a pretty heavy overbrush of Games Workshop Castellan Green. At this point of time, you want to make sure that the paint is thin and it does not leave a rough surface on the miniature. So what I'm doing here is gradually I'm overbrushing thicker and thicker layers towards the middle of the armor panel and leaving a little bit of the brown showing on the side. And this is the result. So with a lighter overbrush, I'm going over with Castellan Green again, just to reinforce the opacity in the middle. Right here, I've added in a little bit of Strachan Green, just gradually adding Strachan Green into the mix. And what I'm doing here is slightly different from how I used to overbrush in the base coat. Right here I'm doing a very light stipple motion just to create more texture. And this makes this modulation look a lot smoother and a lot more realistic. You want to do this in really thin coats so that the transition can be as gradual as possible. Gradually adding more and more Strachan Green into the mix. And for the highest highlights, what I'm doing right here, I added in a little bit of Vallejo model color pale grey blue into the mix. Note that the movement of the brush is a very light stipple. I only want very little bits of the brush touching the model. And now gradually adding just a little bit of Vallejo model color pale grey blue into the mix, and this is the result. Gives a very mottled metal look. And right here I'm going in with an overall shade with Games Workshop Atonian Camo shade. At this point of time, you don't want any unnecessary pulling, so always pull the shade downwards and towards the corners before it dries. I like that this overbrushing actually gave some texture. And we're going to do the same for the rest of the armor panels right here. So all the armor panels that have been painted are painted with the same color scheme.
As a reminder, these are the colors that you'll be using: Games Workshop Castellan Green, Games Workshop Strachan Green, and gradually adding in Vallejo model color Pale Grey Blue. One point that I would like to bring to your attention is that when you are doing this overbrushing, the shape of the highlight is still important. So what I'm trying to say is that on these shin pads that this Castellan Knight is having, the highlights are placed like they are highlighting a cylinder, and then eventually for the kneecap, highlighting like a sphere. This is vastly different from how I've highlighted the shoulder pad, and it will be vastly different from how I'm highlighting this body carapace on the hull of this Knight Tyrant. So for the hull of this Knight Tyrant, I'm painting it with the same colors. However, for the light placements, what I'm trying to showcase is that where the armor bends and where there are rounded edges, these rounded edges will be increasingly highlighted to showcase the form of this armor, especially near the hood where I've made a stark highlight. So I'm now placing Pale Grey Blue, which is just the normal colors that we've been using all the way, and the emphasis on this is to showcase that values and slight gradation really increases the look of the model, and it makes this pretty flat and boring carapace actually quite appealing. So what you will notice is that a bit of the brown camo is showing through near the bottom, and I find that this warm contrast over these cool green colors serve a very nice purpose of re-emphasizing that this green is a lot cooler than what it's supposed to be. This contrast is something that I really like to produce when I'm painting my miniatures. Alright. So as usual, after all the overbrushing, we're going to be shading right here with Atonian camo shade. Why I like using Atonian camo shade for this stage is it gives a very nice contrast and increases the saturation of the entire piece, giving it a nice warm green tint. At the same time, because it's an overall glaze, it makes the transitions even smoother, and I like it because I'm not using an airbrush and I can produce smooth blends like this really quick and really fast. So I'm just going to dry this, and we're going to be moving on to black really soon. Okay, so now with the moss green done, what I'm doing is I'm going to go over the brown areas with a nice overbrush of Games Workshop Covers Black. I'm using Games Workshop Covers Black because just in case I want to make sure that something's a little bit darker, I can always go down to Abaddon Black, which is of a lower value. So after this is done, what I'm going over is an overbrush of Vallejo model color Fuel Blue mixed in with Covers Black. As mentioned previously, the shape of the highlight is really important. So right here, the shin pad has been highlighted like a sphere on the kneecap and a cylinder nearer towards the shin. So one tip for painting black is you can always have this look a little bit more drastic, in the sense where the highlights are a lot larger first, and we can always tone it down with black shade later. So I'm adding in a little bit more Kolectiv watercolor pale grey blue into the mix. Push the highlights slightly further. Why I like to do this overbrush stippling method is that I can gradually sort of push paint around, and I can slowly control the shape of the highlights, gradually adding in more Kolectiv watercolor pale grey blue. To this overbrush mix. So now, once this is done, I'm going back with Games Workshop Abaddon Black, being very thinned down, and I'm correcting the shape of the highlight right here. So this is what I was mentioning, is that you can be brave and go for really large highlights, and it's very easy to correct it back. Just wait for each layer to dry and keep adding in layers and correcting the highlights when necessary. So alternatively, you can also do this overbrush with Noun Oil from Games Workshop. Slowly but surely, this armor is starting to look more and more black. As you can see, it's a very gradual process, so it just takes some time. So now I'm reinforcing the shadows again with slightly thicker Games Workshop Abaddon Black. And in just a little bit, you can see the final result on the entire Chaos Knight Tyrant. So this is the final result on the Chaos Knight Tyrant. I hope you found this useful, painting moss green armor and black armor. So I'll catch you in a little bit.
So that was how I painted most of the Knight Tyrant's armor panels in black and green using the overbrush method. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Alright, so in the next video what we're going to do is we're going to do the hazard stripes for the remaining armor panels, and I hope you catch us there. At this point of time, I'd like to take the opportunity to thank my patrons for allowing me to do this. It's because of their generous donations and support I'm able to paint and record these awesome tutorials so that we all get to become better miniature painters together. So if you'd like to support the channel, do head on to our Patreon and become a patron today. However, for any reason if you can't become a patron, that's okay too. I'd like to ask you for your help and support the channel even further. Give me a like and subscribe if you think I deserved it. Leave me a comment. I hope to see you in the next video. See you.